So my name is Annie Farrow. I'm a digital learning specialist with McGraw-Hill, and hosting on the line with us today is Professor John Strebeck from Monroe Community College. John, if you'd like to say hello.
Hello, everybody from cold Rochester, New York.
Right. So today we're going to talk about Connect, and we're going to show Connect for an Intro to Management course, which John has set up for us and has used the system for several years now. But just know that Connect in its frame and its setup is very similar across disciplines. And you'll see several of the same exercise types. However, Connect is textbook specific, so the resources differ from textbook to textbook, which we can get specifics for you if you're interested in a particular tool that John chose today. Okay, and just to let you know, we're recording our session today just for anyone who wasn't able to join us. We will post that on the WebEx site afterwards if you do want to access it. Okay, so a little bit about today's agenda. We're going to talk about Connect for management. And McGraw-Hill Connect, for those of you who haven't seen it or heard much about it yet, it's a digital teaching and learning environment that strengthens link between faculty, students, and coursework. So helping everyone accomplish more in less time. Like I said, it is textbook specific, and the resources you're using are specific to the textbook, and they include several auto-graded interactive materials, which John will show us live here in just a second. We will go over the quizzing and interactive applications that are available within Connect. So those offer a lot of real-world experience for students and engage them in the material, and also give the instructor a gauge on knowing what your students know and don't know. LearnSmart is a tool that's available for Connect management. While it's not available with every textbook within McGraw-Hill, it is available with more and more texts. So John will show you how he's used LearnSmart in his course effectively. And LearnSmart is designed to maximize productivity and efficiency in learning, and it creates a high impact study session, which has proven to improve grades for students. Connect also seamlessly integrates with every learning management system, so you can easily combine your course resources into a single platform if you're interested in doing that. We'll also show you interactive presentations, which are available for the Kinnicky Management textbook, as well as our Introduction to Business books, and one of our marketing textbooks, which is Graywall. And those basically are similar to narrated PowerPoint, but they're more media rich, and they walk the student through the material in the textbook, showing several videos and examples. And lastly, we'll show you the ebook and reporting, if we have time, just a little bit about the reporting options that we have in Connect, how you can assess your students and see where students are struggling based on some of the different reporting options. And we also have a media-rich ebook where course content really comes alive with videos and interactive elements, and you can even add your own notes to the ebook, which your students are able to see as well. And then last but not least, I wanted to let you know, in a follow-up message, I'll provide a link to our WebEx sign-up if you were interested in attending any more of our live sessions we have on several topics. We have those both previously recorded and available for a live session and live demonstration. Without further ado, I'll go ahead and pass the ball over to John so that he can introduce Connect to everyone.
Well, I'd like to welcome everybody. Thanks for spending a little time to talk about Connect and some of the other things that I'd like to talk to you about today. But first, I'd like to sort of get into the philosophy of Connect a little bit. First, can you all see the screen that I just put up there that at the top says My Courses?
I cannot, John.
No. You can't? Huh. I just checked that out. Our internet's working a little slow, I think, because it's so cold, but hopefully...
Yeah, I see it. I
okay.
see it now. Yeah.
How about that?
Yeah, that's
yes.
better.
Okay. Sorry about that. Just a little lag time. So one of Annie's points that things might lag a little bit just does hold on this one. I want to talk a little bit before I get into the course, a little bit about sort of the philosophy and the benefits. And what Connect does is allows us to do some things that I think are important and that have been shown to really help students get engaged in the classroom. I was at a conference back in early January where everybody was talking about how to get students engaged. And the presenters there, one of the common threads of their presentations were that you need to give students regular assignments. You can't just have, like a midterm and a final. You really need to get students to be doing something to stay engaged with the course and the material throughout the whole semester. And I think Connect does that in a fairly easy way using technology, which students like. And to be honest with you, it has a lot of the bells and whistles, the content-rich video that I think the students really relate to. So when we're talking about benefits to the student about Connect, I think it does help them get engaged. I think it really makes them read the textbook. And though the students might not think that's a benefit, it really is a benefit to the students that they read the textbook. It really helps them study. And a lot of my students, they're always asking me for study tips. Can you give me some sample questions? Can you tell me what material I need to study? And especially when I show you guys LearnSmart, you'll see a system that will really help the students study. Plus, today's students want instantaneous feedback. I actually gave an exam yesterday at 3 o'clock, and this morning I came in and I had half the class sending me emails, did I have it graded yet? And what happens with a lot of the self-graded things is they can get feedback immediately. If nothing more than just a score, but you also can provide them with detailed feedback as far as to why their answers were incorrect or why they were correct. And so again, I think from a student standpoint, it's really helpful. From an instructor standpoint, what it allows us to do is have regular assignments that are self-graded. And I might be in an interesting situation, but I think a lot of people are too, is our class sizes are getting larger at the school that I teach at. And so, as they get larger, can I still have weekly homework assignments? Can I still assign things from the end of the book and read them and grade them? And what Connect allows me to do is to do that. And I don't know if anybody is experimenting with the flipped classrooms. Anybody experimenting with that?
Yes, to some extent, sure.
Okay, well, I have almost in many of my courses totally flipped the classroom, where students have to do reading ahead of class, which has always been my expectations, but now I quiz them before class time. I assign homework assignments before class time so that when they come into class, I can really concentrate on the application. So case studies, do video cases in class, do discussions, do current events. The types of things that employers are telling us that students need is they just don't need the theory, but they need the application. So now I have flipped almost all my classrooms around so that students are doing the work up front. I know they're doing the work because I'm giving them quizzes, homework assignments. And so then we come into class, I know they have a base knowledge, and then I'm able to do what I call some of the fun stuff. So what you see is my page, and you're going to see a lot of courses on here. I use Connect for a lot of different things. My economics, finance classes, international management and marketing, intro to business, management, and then marketing. And what I want to do is I want to show you guys the Connect that I've set up for the Carnegie most recent edition of the management book. And when I first heard about Connect, I was actually at a symposium that dealt with an accounting textbook, because I also teach accounting. And I said, oh yeah, this works really good for accounting because it's problems like you would have in the back of the book, except the students do it online and then it's self-graded. And I said, this is a great thing. I can assign these homework problems. Students can do it to practice for my projects and my tests. But I really didn't see a connection between how you'd use this for more sort of the softer courses, the management, marketing, those types of courses. But with some of the cool things that McGraw-Hill has come up with, you can use this. And in fact, I think it really adds so much to the management type courses. So your front page, if you use Connect, would look something like this. You would have your different books. You would have your different courses with your different semesters. So I'm going to click into my spring management, even though this doesn't feel like spring, it is spring semester. And what I have set up here is what I call a module. And what I do is I set up my modules based on chapters, or sometimes if chapters cover some of the same material. I might maybe have 2 or 3 chapters in a module, but this particular chapter in Kinnicky I thought stood alone. So I've set up different learning activities for students to do. And again, the dates that you see under the start date column there, these are dates that I would set ahead of when I'm going to cover the material in the classroom. Again, this is just the way I do it, so I'm just giving you a little bit of sort of how I use it. I do have some professors that assign this while they are covering a chapter, and then I do have some professors in my department that, especially homework, might assign the homework after they're finished with a chapter. So what I've included is the 4 main components that you have in almost every chapter. I've assigned a quiz, and again, multiple choice, true-false quiz. And I use the quizzes as a way to help students learn. It's, for me, an open book type of thing that they would do on their own, but I do set a time limit because I want them to read the book before they take the quizzes. I've assigned Learn Smart, study videos, and Chapter 2 homework. So let me get into the quiz just so that you can see what it is. And basically what I'm going to do is show you some of the ways to navigate around Connect. Because I heard somebody mention that Connect had frustrated them a little bit when they initially used it. And Connect, again, like anything, you have to learn how to use it, but I feel it's a very intuitive and simple program to use. And once you learn how to use it, you could just basically whip through it. So I've already created this quiz, and I can preview it. I've got different policies I could set, but since this is already established, I can go over here to my assignment options, and I could share this assignment with a colleague if I wanted to. I could copy this assignment, or what I do sometimes, I could edit the assignment. And editing the assignment, I could take a look at the questions that I have included. And when you assign questions, you can assign all the questions that are with a certain chapter, or you can choose questions just based on your learning objectives that you want to cover. You can also select questions based on AACSB standards. You can select questions based on Bloom's taxonomy. However you want to set these questions up, you can handpick each question one at a time by just checking over here in this right-hand column and just choosing, each individual question. What I usually do, since in most chapters I cover all the learning objectives, is I just choose all of them. And you can see that all the questions equal 20 questions, which I don't think is a lot of work for students. I know I was just at a symposium last week where the big discussion topic was, how much homework should we assign to students? And I've always sort of used the 2 hours outside of class for 1 hour in class, but I found out that I'm a dinosaur, that a lot of teachers are assigning much less than that. But again, that's up to you how much you want to assign. So we've got 20 questions here, some multiple choice. MC signifies multiple choice, a couple true-false in here. And so the students will take the quiz, and they will put the answers in. I let them take the quiz one time, and I put a limit for 20 questions, usually of 20 minutes. And so I'm going to just continue here just so I can show you an area where you can set what are called advanced settings. So with each assignment, you need to put a beginning and end date. So we are right in this week. It started yesterday, and it's going to end on, I think this is Sunday night at 11:59 p.m. But you can set different settings here of how you want a quiz set up. And again, there's these basic settings, which has a time limit. Oh, in this quiz I set 30 minutes for. You can scramble the questions so that, if students are, let's say, working together, or you're afraid that there's cheating, this eliminates some of that cheating because, again, the questions are scrambled. What one student gets as question 10 is not another student's question 10. You can set the number of attempts, and just my preference is I give students one attempt because it's an open book exercise. And then over here you can set different feedback. And again, this is what the students see. You can set it up so that you provide them no feedback, which I don't think would be a wise idea. You could set it up so that all they see is total scores. You could set it up so that they get a score before the due date, and then after the due date, when every student has submitted, and especially if you're afraid that there might be some cheating, you can get the detailed feedback after that. And what I usually do is I usually set detailed feedback with solutions, because I don't really worry that much about cheating. Again, it's an open book exercise. This is something that I want students to do to help them study to get ready for my in-class test, not so much as a homework assignment. So there's a lot of different options that I have here, and I have this with my quizzes, with my homework, and everything else. So you can really set this up any way you want to, and then once you set up your settings, if you want this to be your default settings, you can select that every time you set a quiz for this entire course this semester, that it'll automatically go to these default settings so that you do not have to do this task every single time, which I think is fantastic. Then I'm going to review and I'm going to assign. I'm going to then assign, and then it'll be set up here. So quizzes, I mean, there's nothing complicated, to be honest with you, about quizzes. It's just an online quiz that self-grades, that you get to make the choices on what quiz questions you want, and then, you know, how you want the feedback, how much time, how many attempts, and so on and so forth. So are there any questions? I'll take a break on the quizzes at all. Okay, I take that as a no, unless somebody has one. Now, one thing I forgot to show you, and I want to go right back to the beginning because I always forget to do this, Annie, so I want to just do it up front, is when you have a course that you've set up, you have options with this course. You've spent this time setting up, you've done everything you want to do to it, and let's say you're teaching the same course the next semester. Well, you don't need to reset this. You have options over here. So I'll bring this drop-down box, and you can do things like duplicate the section. So if I'm teaching this in fall of 2014, I can take this course and I can duplicate it. I can send a course to a colleague. So if you have one person in your department that's going to be setting up the Connect courses, but everybody's going to use it, if you want to have things standardized, you can do that. You could share it with a colleague. I got to make sure I don't hit this. Delete the section. So there's a lot of things that you can do once you set this course up. You have all these options, and again, I set courses up. I duplicate them, and let's see if you can see a course. So if you see a course like my Principles of Marketing, when I was using the 3rd edition Graywall, all I would do is I set up the course once, and then the next bunch of semesters I just kept copying it over. So I did not have to redo this work. And copying it over takes you 30 seconds, and your course is there. All you would need to do then is change your dates. And I'm going to pick a course where I have a lot of dates. I believe this one does. Yep. And I can change my dates right here on the front page by going into the section called Manage Dates. I would click whatever dates I would like to change. These are spring of 13. I want to change them. I go into Manage Dates, and I can just go in and edit the various dates that I have. So once you get it set up, you're in really good shape, and you can go ahead and copy it over from semester to semester. Because I'll be honest with you, there is a little bit of upfront work in setting these courses up. But again, I think that it's fairly easy, especially once you set up a module. So let's talk about LearnSmart. Now, I want to take everybody back to when they were in 2nd and 3rd grade. Now, how do we learn about addition, subtraction, multiplication, division? We use something called a flashcard. And LearnSmart, easy to describe it as a technological flashcard. So students will get questions, and then they'll answer them just like a flashcard, but online. So I'll go to LearnSmart. And I got to be honest with you, I do not assign LearnSmart for every chapter. The chapters I feel are, have some of the more difficult concepts, that's where I do LearnSmart. And usually if I have 15 weeks, probably 8 to 10 weeks, I'll have LearnSmart. The other weeks I won't. So let's just get into what I can do with LearnSmart. So LearnSmart, as an instructor, I can choose again the deck of flashcards. You know, if I want to use something like that, a flashcard deck, I can choose which cards students will review based on the learning objectives. So this chapter has 8 learning objectives, plus it had at the beginning a summarization of Peter Drucker's book. And so what I chose is I chose where the checks are, that these students will have flashcards, practice, in all the learning objectives, but not in the summary at the beginning of the book.
Hey, John,
Yeah, go ahead.
Is that 45 minutes at the top right, is that the total time to cover all those individual check marks, or is that per each check mark?
Good question, good question. It was for each check mark, my students would hang me. So it is for all of them together. And in fact, I'm glad you asked that question, because you see where my arrow is right up here?
Mm-hmm.
There's a bar that I can set, and if you notice, the time is going down,
Okay.
but also if you look under time, the actual learning items covered is also changing. So, you know, again, if you're concerned about, you know, that you're assigning too much or whatever, you can not only choose the learning objectives, but you can also set the time up here. So the maximum up here, if I let it go all the way, it will be 52 minutes with 69 learning items covered. And what I like to do, I don't know, I like to be standardized, so I like 45 minutes, and I'm covering 60. Now this, again, it says up here, average time required. This doesn't mean that every student is going to be able to do this in 45 minutes. I have some students, especially the ones that have read the book well, that fly through this in 30 minutes. And then I have some students who really haven't looked at the book that much, and it takes them a lot longer. So you have a choice of how you want to set this up. Again, what are your learning objectives, how much time, and again, it's an average time. This is a study tool for me. I, again, assign this to students to help them study for tests. Though I do assign points to it, I'll be honest with you, I look at this more as did they complete it, not so much in did they complete it within a certain amount of time. So if somebody completed it, then I would give them full credit for this, versus if someone only did a part of it, then that's where I would, you know, take the grade down. And a lot of people ask me this question, so I'm going to cover this up front. What part of my total grading structure are these assignments, the Connect assignments? And again, for students today, you have to make something meaningful in order for them to do it. I assign 30% of my grade to the Connect assignments. And so then I'll have 30% of the grade with my in-class tests, and 40% of the grade or more, 40 to 50, depending on the class, will be papers, presentations, both individual and teamwork. So I think you need to make this a big enough part of the grade that the students take this thing seriously. So let me go through this, and then we'll go through actually what LearnSmart is, because I think this is sort of a fun one. Let me go through here.
Hello.
So we take this as a student.
Hello.
Hello?
Hi. What's that?
Okay, we're right in the middle of our presentation, so I'm covering LearnSmart right now, okay, it's part of Connect.
Yeah, I had a question.
You have a
So
question?
if I wanted to go in here to show you what it looks like, what also I'm going to show you a little bit of is what a SmartBook is, which we have other webinars on that. But SmartBook is an interactive ebook that helps the student to see how much they're learning. Once they've learned something, then the ebook changes colors on a highlighted area that shows the student has understood or mastered that subject. So here's an example of a flashcard. So we have Eric's management style leads into focus on training, improving, and so forth. And so this is what we call fill in the blank exercise. And in fact, I'm actually working on some Learn Smart questions for another book right before I came on this webinar. And so what a student would do is they first have to sort of what I call bet a little bit. You know, is this something that they really know, that they're not sure that they know, that they're unsure, that they have no idea of? This is going to affect how the adaptive technology works, because if students say that they know something but put in an incorrect answer, the system is going to adjust and give them some additional flashcards in the subject area. If I put I know it and I get the correct answer for a number of cards in this particular subject area, then it will stop giving me those cards. So what's nice about it is if a student knows it, they're not going to have to go through flashcards. You know, if in school I knew my 2 times tables, the teacher still would make the whole class do them even though I knew them. Here it's very customized to the student. And so if I know, you know, a certain subject matter and I show that in a couple of flashcards, it'll skip me to the other flashcards, and that's where students can get done in less than the average time that we have allotted. So, I don't know. What do you guys think the answer to this question is?
Human resources. Or human
Okay.
relations, I should
So,
say.
do we know it? Well, I'll say we think so. Let's not be too positive. We don't want to be too cocky.
Human relations.
And that's what I was going to put, human relations. And so I'm going to submit my answer. And no, the answer is incorrect. It's total quality management.
Oh, total quality management. Okay.
Okay? So, so look what happens here. I mean, and actually, I knew what the answer was because I took this one this morning. But you put the incorrect answer in, and again, it's practice. It says very nicely, sorry, your answer is correct. You wrote this, and it tells you what the answer is. So you'll go, okay, and it'll take you to other questions. Now, because I got that answer wrong, it is going to give me probably more questions within that specific area. Again, because I didn't know that initial material. If I got that question correct and put TQM in there, then it would skip cards because, again, it knows that I know this material. So I think you have the idea of what Learn Smart is. So you've got, here's an example of a true or false. An open system has very little interaction with its environment. So let's say I know it, and let's put false. And wow, I got this one wrong, or I should say I got this one correct. And so again, any questions that deal with the topic of open systems, this learning objective, the adaptive technology is saying, okay, John got this one right. We'll give him some more questions, but if he keeps getting the right, then we feel that he's learned the material. We'll take him to material that he doesn't know that well. And then here's, wow, this is great because it's giving me all the examples. Here's an example of a multiple choice question. So we got Douglas McGregor, and the workers are capable of accepting responsibility, self-direction, self-control. Let's say that I know this one, and let's say it's this, and so therefore I got this correct. So what's really nice about these first 3 questions is it sort of gave us the 3 most common examples of Learn Smart questions. Some of the other ones are multiple answer. It's like multiple choice, but there's more than one answer correct. And then there are some questions that deal with matching. So if you have people with their different theories, a good question would match, like McGregor with theory X, theory Y, Uchi with theory Z, maybe Maslow with the hierarchy of needs, those types of things. So I want to get back to where I was. So this is Learn Smart. Any questions on Learn Smart at all?
So the machine actually will adapt to the kind of answers
You've got it,
that
yep.
the student is giving you, and if they're having success in a particular area, it'll take you to another place. If they're having issues with a particular area, it'll do some more drill down with them.
Right, and if I had answered like a lot of questions incorrectly, it'll give me a timeout. It'll actually tell me that I really need to go back to the book and reread the material. So here, when I got that first answer incorrect, it was nice. It said, "Oh, you got it incorrect. Here's the right answer." But let's say I had, gotten a lot of the questions incorrect. Well, then what would happen is it actually, the screen changes totally, and it says, "You really need to go back to the book and read this stuff." I call that a timeout. I want to tell you something. My students love LearnSmart. They really like the sort of flashcard. It's fast. They like that they get the immediate feedback if they're incorrect. And up here in the top right-hand area, you see that there's a point system. And you could, if you wanted to, and I don't do this personally, but you could set this up so that you would have students maybe compete against each other. I have a professor I work with that he uses LearnSmart in class and has teams compete against each other themselves. And so you can set it up so that you could keep track of the points. And again, you get more points the more answers you correct. And if you want more of a competitive setting, I use this again as sort of a learning tool, not as something I necessarily grade, except I want to make sure that they went ahead and did it. I mean, if you guys have questions, I'm trying to pause after I do each little, question type so that, you can ask questions, don't forget them. So feel free to ask questions, please. I would appreciate it. So let's go to study videos. Now, these are what Annie described as interactive PowerPoint presentations. And again, when you take a look at what you have available, they're set up based on, again, each learning objective. And so you would want to assign these based on learning objectives you're going to cover. The way that I use these is, again, as a study tool for the student. I am concerned that they do them more than necessarily the grade that they get within each one of them. And you can see for this particular chapter, again, because I'm covering all the learning objectives, that I assigned all of these. Now, this is, for me, different than I do for most chapters. Most chapters, I assign maybe 3 or 4 of them, again, based on the harder topics. Now, I also teach fully online. Does anybody just teach online at all?
I do have some classes that are online.
Okay.
Yes.
This right here, your online students will love. Because one of the complaints that I get from online students is, they're not necessarily interactive enough. You might have a discussion board and you might do some quizzes and written assignments. You might do some pure grading. But they're looking for more. They're looking for some of the things that they miss in a classroom. These presentations, I found, are it. They're videos that you would see, and they stop occasionally for students to answer questions on the video. And the students really like this, and they tell me that it's entertaining, it's good application because they're hearing about a real company that is doing what you're reading in the book that companies are supposed to do. And so they really like these interactive presentations. They're usually fairly short. Let's see if I can click it up one. And I hope, I've been having a little trouble with video streaming, so let's see if this will work.
Drucker was the creator and inventor of modern management.
Can you guys see this Peter Drucker picture?
Thinkers and writers on the subject
Okay.
of management theory and practice. In the 1950s, the nature of organizations was changing in the U.S., and Peter Drucker became interested in the behavior of people and organizations. In his book, The Practice of Management, Peter Drucker proposed that management should be treated like a profession and that workers should be treated as assets. Peter Drucker was a forerunner in understanding
So you can see that this particular video interactive presentation was about 40-some seconds. This is one of the shorter ones. They're usually 2 minutes or less, I found most of them. And again, it's just another way for students to review the information. Here you're looking at some kind of a graphic, and then you've got the voiceover. And again, it gives students that opportunity to practice again what they're reading in the textbook. So this is something that I assign, especially when I'm working on my online classes. I include almost all of these because, again, I want to give students extra practice. Plus, I want to give them something more than what I'm able to provide. I got to be honest with you, I would never be able to do something like this. I don't have the technological capabilities to do this type of thing. So this is an example of what I call the study videos, but the real name is the interactive presentations for those. So and again, with everything, you get to set the dates and that their start and that they close. You can set the different types of advanced settings, how much time and different types of things. So again, you can customize these, but as you set them up and you're happy with your settings, you could set up so that every interactive presentation has those settings. You don't need to reset it every single time. So what do you think about the interactives? I mean, I think the video component, especially since the student of today really likes that multimedia presentation, I think it really adds so much. It really enriches your course a lot.
Yeah, that's something that's almost a necessity for an online class. I know I've tried to do my own PowerPoints where I will just go ahead and insert an audio, just a lecture audio. But that tends to be a little bit limiting because of the amount of time it takes to load those kind of files. Plus, if you have something that's a bit more professional, I think that would be better received.
Well, and I agree with you, and I've tried that myself. And I remember one time I developed like my own 40-second sort of audio with a couple PowerPoints. It actually took me like 2 hours to do because I kept editing it and cutting it and saying that's not how I want to do it. It took me forever, and even when I got it done, I'd give myself on a scale 10 a 4.
Yeah.
I just couldn't get it to this, I guess I know the radio voice was the big thing. I don't know. Okay, so let's take a look at homework. So homework, you have a lot of different options for homework. And in this particular chapter, there were 4 options for homework. I chose 3 of them. Now, homework for me is a little bit more work because before I assign it, I do it. And so I have taken all of these homework assignments. And so that takes a little bit of time, but again, once you get your course developed, if you're happy with it and you want to just roll it over to next semester, it's very easy. So what I've assigned is I've assigned a video case. And this video case happens to deal with the New Belgium Brewery. Then I assigned what's called a drag and drop exercise, and I assigned a timeline exercise. And I think the homework is where, again, in management classes, I would come up with my own things. I would assign, end of the chapter assignments. But again, a lot of the stuff was always written. And, students aren't wild about writing, and with big class sizes, it's really difficult to grade a lot of writing. So these particular assignments right here are not writing-based. The video, the student watches the video and answers some questions. The drag and drop, they just match the columns. The timeline, they put events in a certain box for a timeline. And then it's self-grades. And so again, the student gets fairly quick feedback. It's interactive. It's using more of their senses than just maybe auditory or visual or things like that. And the students like these types of assignments. There is another assignment that I did not assign with this chapter, and it was a case study. I don't personally use the case studies that much because I have my own case studies. I've got 20 plus years in the working world, so I come up with my own things, and I use those as in-class assignments. So this is what I've assigned here, and again, you go through it and you have all the different options, the dates, time, and setting. How do I use homework assignments? I don't give them a time limit. I let them have 2 attempts at the homework, and I take the highest score. And then you could set how the feedback is. And so, again, you can customize this based on your teaching style and philosophy, however you want to set it up. So just let me get out of here. So that was the homework assignments. Any questions on those? Well, if there's no questions, let me go through a couple things that I haven't normally done in webinars, but I want to do this time. I want to go up here and take a look at the library. because in the library is where all of the resources are for instructors. And so down here, if you click under Instructor Resources, you'll see that over here in the left column, you have test bank, PowerPoints, additional videos, newsletter update, and things like that. So this provides, all within one template, all of the resources, you know, that we're looking at as instructors. Remember how we used to get discs or things like that, or we used to have to separately log into a separate website? This is all located right here in this particular area. And so, you know, if I wanted to show PowerPoints, I click on here, all the PowerPoints come up for the chapters. I can play the videos off of here. So there's a lot of different things. You know, some of the courses have hot seats, and most of the courses I found have newsletters from the authors, so that works out really nice. So that is good. So let me get to back to, actually what I want to do, since I have some time, and I plan at the time, I want to show you how quick it is to set up an assignment. Okay, because again, I heard a couple of people said it seemed like it was a little onerous setting this thing up. I want to show you how to set this up, and I'm going to take probably less than 5 minutes to do an assignment. So all you need to do is go up to the top here where my cursor says Add Assignment. So you click on that. You're given different selections. If you wanted to add a LearnSmart, you click on LearnSmart and you choose the chapter you want, and then you would go through the different settings. When is it open? When is it closed? How much time you want to give in the learning objectives? What I want to do though is I want to create an assignment from the question bank. So I'm going to click on Question Bank, and then I'm going to click on the chapter that I want to pick the material from, and I'm going to go to the next chapter, Chapter 3. And you see here that it gives me the different types of assignments that I have. Now, I choose quiz questions when I build a quiz. I don't really take from the test bank. But what I want to do is I want to assign a homework assignment. So I'm going to go up to what's called Interactive Applications. This is what I call homework assignments. I'm going to select, and I'm going to see that there are 4 different homework assignments associated with this particular chapter. One is a video, one is a case analysis, one's what's called a decision generator, which is a homework assignment where students read a couple paragraphs, and then based on the information they make some decisions, answer some questions, and then there's a drag and drop. And so what I'm going to do is, again, I could choose each one of these individually. Let's say I want to do the video case and the drag and drop. Excuse me. Or I could just click up here at the top, that checkbox at the top, and assign all of them. Now over here, again, I could assign based on learning objectives, Bloom's, AACSB. I use these a little bit more for the quiz questions than choosing the homework assignments. And so I'm going to pick all 4 of them, and then I'm going to click down here where it says Add Checked Questions. And it's going to say, do I want to add them as an individual question or as a pool? What a pool means is you're throwing questions in a pool and they'll be randomized to the students. Again, that may get rid of some cheating and things like that. I'm going to just list them as individual questions. I've really never run across, to be honest with you, cheating here. I could go up here under Organize My Assignment, because right now I have 4 questions of 40 points. I always like to have things out of 100%. That's just the way I work. If you want to leave 40 points, it's fine. I could go Organize Assignment. Right here where it says Set Point Values, click here, have it be worth out of 100. Set the points, and suddenly it's 4 questions worth 100 points. Now I'm going to go to my next area, and here's where I set up my different settings. So I can set this to start at a certain time. Let's have it start tomorrow, and let's have it end a week. So I've set the dates. This is a homework assignment, and so it's shaded, the homework assignment box. And when I go to expand advanced settings of the homework assignment, you'll see that it kept all of my requirements from the Chapter 2 homework assignments. No time limit, I allowed 2 attempts, and then the way I set feedback up. So again, I could set these differently if I wanted to, but I don't. I like to keep my grading and my homework assignments consistent, so there's nothing I need to do with these because they went over, so I'll do a review and assign. I'll do assign, and so here's my assignment that I just did. In fact, I forgot to name it, so I could just click into here, do edit, assignment, rename it, put in chapter 3 homework, save it, and hopefully this will go right through so you'll see that it's easy to edit things too. And so I just spent, according to my clock here, about 4 minutes setting up this homework assignment. That's all it took. And in fact, when I set these up yesterday, these 4 assignments, they took me about 15 minutes to set up. This is a week for me, so if I do 15 minutes times 15 weeks, it doesn't seem like a lot. And again, once I set the course up, all I need to do is duplicate it or copy it over to the next semester. So I wanted to show you, because I haven't done this on previous webinars, how easy it is really to set up any assignment that you want to. Now again, I take a look for the homework assignments. I take a look at them. I don't just assign all of them. I've done the Chapter 3 assignments before, so I knew they were all the ones I wanted to include in there. So I'm going to pause, see if there's any questions or comments.
John, a couple of questions for you here. Number one, do you teach graduate students or undergraduates, both, or just undergraduates?
I have an interesting life. I actually have 2 full-time teaching jobs. I teach at a community college, so I get freshmen, sophomores, 100, 200 level courses. I also teach full-time at a 4-year school where I teach mostly MBA courses.
Okay.
And I use...
Well, I was going to ask, what kind of adjustments do you make between graduates and undergraduates in this system?
A couple adjustments. That's a good question. The undergraduates, I have a tendency to be more quiz-based. You know, I'll assign a quiz for every chapter. And I do more homework assignments and things like that, LearnSmart. For the graduate students, I don't always do the quizzes. I do more homework assignments, and I use LearnSmart a little bit less. Okay, because again, I'm thinking the freshmen, sophomores need more of the practice. They need to learn how to learn, whereas the graduate students, I would hope that they're a little bit more self-motivated and directed.
Okay.
And by the way, I do use Connect for an executive MBA online economics course. So, I mean, that's even the executive MBA level that I use Connect.
Another question, is there compatibility with D2L? We use D2L here as our online experience.
Desire to learn, yep.
And I'm just wondering, now, I guess in my mind I'm thinking this is a separate domain. There's really no interactivity between D2L and Connect, but you could set up a separate system with unique links that would go to Connect, so they wouldn't have to necessarily do all their stuff in D2L.
Well, I'm going to let Annie answer that question, but I know that there's full compatibility with Blackboard.
Mm-hmm.
I use Blackboard, and students can go right from Blackboard to Connect without a separate login, and the grades dump into my Blackboard gradebook. I know McGraw-Hill is working on this, connecting, but Annie, I don't know about Desire to Learn, though.
Yes, Desire to Learn is our second most close partnership that we have besides Blackboard. So what we're doing is working to make it just as our Blackboard integration is now, which is basically students don't even know they're going to Connect. The integration is very tight-knit. So there is compatibility with D2L. Right now it's called MH Campus, and your rep can help set you up with everything. It basically just, the students have to enroll once in Connect, and from then on they're taking their assignments from within D2L.
Okay, that's great.
Mm-hmm.
And I really recommend that you use your reps. If you have any questions, they can sit you down and show you how to use Connect. I mean, my rep sent us a PowerPoint slide that's called How to Connect to Connect that we put, in Blackboard, and to help students to go through the process of how they register for it. It's a simple process, but she provided that for us. We even had a digital. Annie, what are the people that handle like the tech side? They're not the sales reps, but they're digital
success consultant.
Okay, and they'll come out and they'll actually, you know, if you have a group, they'll work with you to get a group on board. When we started using Connect, which is almost 5 years ago, we actually got a computer lab and got all our faculty in there, and a couple people came out to train us. And the training was actually do what I just did, is set up the course. It wasn't so much, okay, this is how it is. We actually set up like the first 4 modules of our Intro to Business course. And so when everybody left, they already had a month's worth of the class set up. And because it was so hands-on, everybody was like, this is a piece of cake. And so, you know, utilize that help. Also, the Connect help desk, both for instructors and students, I found to be really good. They've got great hours. Most of my students and stuff is due on Sunday. They do the work on Sunday. And the help desk is open from, I believe it's noon to 11 on Sundays, or noon to 9 on Sundays.
So John, is this is the cost included when students register? You have to sign up for this. That this is what you want to use in your course, and have students been receptive of it? Do they also have to buy a hard copy text?
Well, they don't need to. In fact, you know, if you can push students to ebook, I haven't had a lot of success with that. But I mean, the cheapest option for them is the ebook with Connect bundled in it. But I really students haven't grabbed onto ebooks, at least in my area. What we do with Connect is it's packaged with the textbook. And so what they do is they get the textbook, and then they get like a little card that has their access code on that. Students have been very receptive. I rarely hear complaints about price. Rarely.
So when you use all of this stuff, if you're not teaching it online, but you're teaching a class a couple of hours every week, what other materials are you adding to this? Are you simply using that time to respond to questions, or is there a structure that you use?
Well, I mean, all my courses, and I teach, you know, face-to-face courses too, they're all web enhanced. And so I use Connect as my web work. And so then what I do is I use the classroom for application-based types of projects, case studies, group work, things like that.
Okay.
That's how I do it, because I've really sort of embraced this flip the classroom concept. And the reason for that is because our advisory boards that are made up of employers are telling us that, you know, students really need the analytical, critical thinking application. You know, they might come out knowing the definitions and concepts, but how do they use this stuff? And so if I can give them the definitions and concepts through an online learning system, then I can do the application and things like that in the classroom.
Got it. Thank you.
But I got to be honest with you, teaching online, this makes my online course, and I'm going to use this word, it makes me sound old-fashioned, it makes it cool. It really does.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, you got all the bells and whistles, you got these videos built into it, you got these self-grading homework assignments, and I can't stress enough the benefit of the self-grading. I mean, because that takes off of the workload.
Right.
John, follow-up question on that last one. Is Connect then available as a standalone product that students can get if they have a used textbook?
Yes, it is. You can do it standalone. In fact, I know a friend of mine at another school down in Pennsylvania, they don't even use the textbook. They're just using Connect. That's what they're using. But, you know, to be honest with you, the price of the ebook Connect is fairly low. You know, that's the lowest option. If you want to include a book, it's the ebook, which is going to be the smart book, the adaptive learning book, with Connect is your least costly option. And, you know, you also have the ability to custom publish books, too. The McGraw-Hill is a product called Create, and you can custom publish a book, make it soft cover, eliminate chapters, add things, do different things. That also brings the cost of the book down, too, and you can package Connect with that also.
Okay.
And again, I think Annie could probably speak more to this than I could, or your rep definitely could go over those options with you.
Yeah, absolutely. And if anybody's not sure who your rep is, in the follow-up thank you note, I'll include a link to how you can find your rep, just so they can go over any pricing options with you.
So we got about 2 minutes. Are there any other questions at all?
Yes, I have a
If
question
there-
for Annie.
Oh, go ahead.
We are currently using the Canvas Learning online platform with our college. We've shifted away from D2L.
Mm-hmm.
I want to know if you had any experience trying to integrate the Connect in with Canvas.
Yes, so Connect will work with any learning management system, including Canvas. While the integration is not as deep as it is with Blackboard and with D2L, it is a solution called MH Campus, and that does allow the students to have one point of login. It makes it easier for you to manage the two.
Okay, thank you.
Sure, no problem. Was there another question?
Well, Annie, if you can do me a favor, can you in your follow-up email to everybody include my email address also, in case they have any questions, they can email me?
Sure, no problem.
Okay, that'd be great.
Well, thank you, John. Appreciate it very much.
John, very
Sure.
nice overview.
Okay, thanks.
Thanks, everybody. You will see a pop-up survey when you leave. It's just to let us know how we did today and any improvements you might make for future sessions. So if you have a second to answer, I think it's just 4 questions, so we'd really appreciate it. But thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.